Is Donovan Wilson present? Donovan Wilson. Okay. Who's next to you? Who's next to you right here? Roxanne Wiseman. Roxanne Wiseman. I know. Roxanne Wiseman. Wiseman.
But it's different status. Who is you looking at? Gonder. My Drake is Gonder. Yeah, it is. He changed. They did a nice change. What was it before?
Madrakers.
My Drake is. I'm so sorry. Gonder. I remember that part. Gonder.
Who's supposed to be next to him? I know. Who's supposed to be?
Brittany Hall, where are you?
Brittany Hall, raise your hand.
Brittany, where are you? Oh, Brittany down there. Just down there. Thank you, Brittany.
Okay.
Ah, boy.
She needs to know if she needs to make another call.
Boy. All right. We ready? Let them come in.
All right, students and staff, we want to settle down. We're going to start the program quickly. All students and staff, all right, all the students should be in their seats now. We will begin the program shortly. Uh, Welcome parents and family. We hope that you enjoy your day here at East. I will turn it over. Ms. Moore, you have it? I'll turn it over to Ms. Stewart Moore, and we will go on with our program. Thank you so much, because I know East High knows how to handle themselves. I appreciate it very much. Okay.
Getting ready to get started as soon as Mr. Reed can get in place. Miss Mia, can you? Yeah. As soon as Mr. Reed get up here, go ahead. Yes, sir, it is. Get ready to get started. I got a program too.
Good morning. Welcome to our first East High School Academic Honors Program. We will now have the presentation. Excuse me. We will now have the presentation of our colors by our AJ ROTC.
So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the presentation of the colors? Okay, will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Right wheel. Forward.
Thank you. Students, we ask that you all please conduct yourselves as East High School Mustangs as we honor those students who have done an exceptional job this last grading period. We will now have the welcome and occasion by your Student Council President, Mr. Julian Phillips.
Thank you, Ms. King. All right. Good morning and welcome. My name is Julian Phillips, like Ms. King introduced me, and I am your 2012-2013 Student Body President. My duty today is to welcome all administration, faculty, and students to our honors program. Throughout several years of tradition of excellence, East High School has exceeded all expectations through the arts, athletics, and most importantly, the reason why we're here, academics. We have come here today to acknowledge academic achievers in our school. In this assembly, students will be rewarded recognition for their hard work, dedication, and achievement in their studies in the first semester. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Julian. We will now have a poem by Miss Julie Lee. Let's give her a hand as she comes.
Hello. The poem that I have written today is called Hope. The poem that I have written is called Hope, and it talks about how we have to have hope in order to achieve academic success. Take a look around you. No, seriously, take a look around you. How many senior graduates do you know for sure surround you? How many of you have fallen and gang activity has found you? I mean, nowadays, no one's there to look up to, but plenty to look down to. Nobody to play role models or whose footsteps do you follow. Can you tell the difference between what is love and what is sorrow, what is found and what is lost, what is smart and what is not? See, the point is, nobody expects any of us to really achieve. They expect us to say, no, this is too hard, so we leave. But in the distance, no matter how many miles it takes, I know we all see the rays of hope beaming upon our face. We shouldn't let a life obstacle just tear us apart. See, I think that even a collage is a beautiful work of art. Why live up to the expectations of a wicked mind of society, telling us that we can't make it? We don't want to prove them right, do we? Opportunities are out there, but it's you who have to want them. If you need, if you needed a motivation, well then, here is the anthem. You can't just sit here and wallow and expect something tomorrow. You got to create your own path, and there aren't any footsteps you can follow. Don't just sit here and chase dreams. Make the illusion something concrete. And no, not everyone's a baller, so go do something unique. And yes, I know that school isn't a place for everyone, but at least do something smart. Pave a way for your future one. You can't do it for anybody. You've got to want it for yourself. And if you get an education, you can help anyone else. See, education is free and ignorance is bliss. Don't go out and be a failure. Be something we'll reminisce. Think about it.
That was beautiful, Julie. We will now have the introduction of our speaker. We will now have the introduction of our speaker by our senior class representative, Miss Maya Johnson.
Good morning. Tiffany Wade Henderson joined International Paper in 2008 as senior litigator for the business paper. Promoted to chief counsel in 2010, she currently manages the environmental litigation team, which provides legal advice and litigation supervision for environmental toxic tort matters across the organization. Tiffany is also a member of the Leadership Memphis 2013 executive class. Prior to joining IP, Tiffany was a shareholder at Baker, Donaldson, Behrman, Caldwell, and Berkswick in Jackson, Mississippi. While at Baker, Tiffany concentrated her practice in civil defense litigation with emphasis in commercial and transportation litigation, products liability, and insurance. She has substantial experience representing manufacturers, insurance companies, and corporations in personal injury, wrongful death, mass tort, and complex litigation. Tiffany graduated magna cum laude from the University of Mississippi School of Law in 1998, where she was an Eastland Scholar and a staff member of the Mississippi Law Journal and Journal of the National Security Law. She graduated summa cum laude as valedictorian from the Jackson State University in 1995 with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. Tiffany has also served as a director for the Mississippi Bar Young Lawyers Division and a vice chair at the ABA and TIPS Products General Liability and Consumer Law Committee. She lives in Collierville, Tennessee with her husband Greg and her two children, Jordan and Savannah. With no further ado, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Tiffany Wade Henderson.
Thank you. Good morning, East High School. I'd like to first thank Ms. King and the administration and the faculty for asking me to come speak today. When we were walking up to the stage, Ms. King asked me if I'd ever spoken to high school students before, and I told her I hadn't. So there's first time for everything. I have actually, though, spoken to lots of law students in the past about how to be successful in law school and then become a successful lawyer once you get out. So, and I think basically the effort and the inputs are the same. You just start out a little bit earlier in your process. Um, Today, I would like to speak to you from the book of Gladys. Gladys Knight, to be specific, and you probably don't know who I'm talking about, but I bet your parents and your teachers do. And if you don't, you can look her up on Wikipedia. I checked, she was on there before I got here. But you feel like I probably do when my son talks about Neo and Frank Ocean. I have no idea who they are either. Um, but anyway, the point of my story is that life is really hard. No matter where you come from, you're gonna screw up. People are gonna screw you up. But at the end of the day, you are still in control of your own destiny. So I had a theme song that Gladys Knight had back in the 60s or 70s, and it was called "I Have to Use My Imagination." And the verse I liked was, "I've really got to use my imagination to think of good reasons to keep on keeping on." And that has been very helpful to me throughout my life. My story is probably not very different from yours, except I lived in a really small town in Meridian, Mississippi, which is in central Mississippi. We had less than 50,000 people in the town. And I know this because the whole time I was in high school, all we wanted was Red Lobster. And you had to have 50,000 people in your population to have a Red Lobster, and we never got one before I left for college. In contrast, Memphis has 650,000 people, so that'll kind of give you an idea of how small the town was. My mom had me when she was in high school when I was 18 and my father was 19. She was a beautiful woman. Everyone all agreed that she was just gorgeous, and I looked just like my daddy. He wanted to go into the military, but she didn't want to. She wanted him to marry her and stay and raise a family. Neither one of them went to college. He became a mechanic, and she was a secretary. We lived in a 2-room trailer behind my grandmother's house, and I walked home from school every day to the projects where my great-grandmother lived. She was a very religious woman. She's what we call sanctified back then. For me, that meant you went to church all day on Sunday. But I think now I know it as Church of God in Christ. So she wouldn't let me go outside because she didn't want me to get in any trouble. So I spent most of my days watching television. So I watched Good Times and The Jeffersons and Little House on the Prairie and Cosby Show. And I loved all those shows because it meant two things to me, that anybody could be poor and anybody could be rich. So I really applied myself in school. Education was always really important to me. My grandparents on both sides had been domestics. They worked as housekeepers in people's houses. My parents were blue-collar workers, but they always told me, you can do anything you want to do if you just do well in school. My grandmother said, you got to get your lesson out. So there were two parts of town in Meridian. There was 2 schools. There was two junior high schools, 2 middle schools, but there was 1 high school for the entire town. And I had always said I was going to be a doctor. Now, from my intro, you heard that I am a lawyer. But I wanted to be a doctor from elementary school. But after a certain point, I had done so well in school. I always got really good marks. I was afraid to fail. So when I got into my senior year in high school, I was taking AP Biology, or I was enrolled in AP Biology, along with some other courses. And I saw the curriculum for the first day and thought, I might get a B in this class. And the thought of possibly getting a B was just too much for me to handle. So I immediately decided that I was going to be a lawyer because lawyers made just as much money as doctors, but I could probably get an A in political science. In retrospect, having become a lawyer and been very successful as a lawyer, I actually do wish I had become a doctor because doctors work less hours, at least in comparison to what I do. So anyway, I got all A's in high school, but I was in love in high school. I'm sure some of y'all out there are in love right now. And And so when it came time to apply for scholarships, I didn't really do it because I wanted to stay home with my boyfriend. And when it came time, when my teachers wrote recommendations for me to go to college, I didn't send them in. And so when it came time to go to college, even though I had a 4.0 average in high school, I didn't have a whole lot of options. Luckily, the pastor of my church had a friend at a small school in Louisiana called Xavier University, that let me come there on scholarship because of my grades. Unfortunately, I hadn't even done any research on the school and didn't even know what the school was about. It was primarily a pharmacy school. So my freshman year, although I did very well, I had a test on who was Martin Luther King because the school focused on science. And all my teachers were from Africa. And they didn't know who Martin Luther King was until they got to the United States, but didn't understand that we had been taught who Martin Luther King was since we were very, very small. So I transferred from that school, and I went to Jackson State University in Mississippi. And because I was a transfer student, I didn't get a scholarship because they just had a rule that they didn't give scholarships to transfer students. So I had to work my way through school and have loans. There is a store called J.C. Penney, who was founded by James Cash Penney, and I'm very thankful to him because I was allowed to work my way through school, pay for school, and then also graduate from Jackson State University with a 4.0. And my point to say to all this is not that, is this, that you are going to mess up. And you, no matter how smart you are, and I feel like there are a lot of smart people in this room because we are here for honor and scholarship, but don't give up just because you don't make the right choices. You're going to probably make some wrong choices many, many times throughout your life, but you need to understand that just because you made that wrong choice and it ended very badly, you can still keep on keeping on. So in my senior year of college, I was in love again. And when it came time to study, there's an exam called the LSATs you have to take to get into law school. And I did not do very well on the exam at all because I was focused on getting married because I was engaged in college and starting a family and things that I had no business focusing on at 20 years old. And so I didn't do well on that test. But thankfully, because I had done well and had good grades, I got a scholarship to the University of Mississippi and had a full ride. After that, I never, ever, ever was so in love that it got in the way of what I needed to do to be successful. In law school, you get one test. It's, you go all semester, you show up to class, don't show up to class, it doesn't matter. But at the end of that semester, you get one essay test on everything the professor taught that year. And I had a schedule because I was told you need to apply to law school or approach law school like it was your job. So I was at the library at 6 a.m. every morning before classes started. And then I was in classes till lunchtime. After lunch, I was in classes again. And anytime I wasn't in classes, I was in the library studying. After class, I scheduled in everything I did. I scheduled my meals, I scheduled my naps, and my day was scheduled from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight every day because I was bound and determined to be successful. But when I walked in the law school the first day of the first exam, and I walked in the room, I looked at the table where I was supposed to sit, and I completely melted down and cried like someone had just told me my mother died. And I ran out of the room and ran into the bathroom, and everybody was around me trying to calm me down, and I was completely hysterical because I was afraid I wasn't going to do well. And the fear, notwithstanding the fact that I was so extremely prepared to take that test, the fear of failing was about to get in the way of me being successful. Well, eventually I got myself together and I got back in that exam. And as soon as I read the first question, I figured out, hey, I know the answer to this. And I never ever cried again just because I was going to have a test and I might not do well. And that was the approach that I had throughout my first trial, my first hearing, anything, is to keep on, keeping on. I know I'm going to mess up, but there's probably nothing I can't fix. So because I did well in law school, I got invited to, I had 5 job offers before I graduated. And when you worked in the summer, you got paid $1,000 a week just to go in, do some research, read some stuff, and they took you to lunch, and they took you to dinner, and they took you on trips. And my mother, when I called her and told her what I was going to get paid the first time, she told me I didn't understand what the man said because that just wasn't possible. But it was true, and it all worked out for me. So now, after 15 years of practice, I live in Collierville, Tennessee with my husband and my 2 children. My husband is a stay-at-home dad and takes care of the kids, whereas I work every day. Hold up. He went to college. He had a job. But we decided that that was what was worked best for our family. And in fact, this weekend I was with some friends, and one of my older friends said, "What kind of message are you sending to your son having his father stay at home?" And I said, well, in 2013, I tell my son and my daughter that we both contribute to our families, and we both make very valuable contributions into our families, and because we care, one parent stays at home and one parent doesn't. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Kind of pissed me off at first. Can you say piss? Sorry. Oops. But at the end of the day, what I realized is that you can't let people define how you are supposed to live your life. And you can't let people define or let mores or culture, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, dictate what you decide to do with yourself. So at the end of the day, my whole point of all this is that have scholarship, have determination, absolutely have academic excellence, because I'm a big believer that we live in one of the few countries in the world where you start out does not dictate where you end. I started out in a single wide trailer behind my grandmother's house and living in the projects when my mother was working, and now I live a very good life in Collierville, Tennessee. I manage a team of 7 lawyers and paralegals. I travel all over the country and out of the country for my job, and that is all because I kept on going, and I screwed up a lot and may screw up some more. I've turned 40 this year, so I've gotten less concerned about screwing up and just figuring out how to make it right. So at the end of the day, I am so very honored to be here, and I congratulate all the recipients of the awards today. Keep on doing what you're doing, but just know you're going to screw it up, but don't stop going. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Henderson. I said thank you, Attorney Henderson. For those words of wisdom and encouragement. I stand before you to present our awards. We ask you all, we ask you all to hold your applause as well as your shout outs until every name has been called in every grade, okay? So we'll clap for the freshmen. We'll clap for the sophomores. You'll stop talking so I won't call your name out on the microphone. We'll clap for the juniors and the seniors. Okay? We'll start off with our principals list. We only have one student for the principals list, and this student is receiving honors recognition for principal list because she has earned all A's in all courses and all E's for the first semester. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandy Wilson. Yeah, this is the only student in East High School with all A's and all E's. We're going to do a better job than that. All right, here we go. We are now honoring the Distinguished Honor Roll. For the ninth grade, these students have earned a grade point average of 3.6 or above with no grade below a 75, and they have received E's and S, an E or an S in conduct for the first semester. Our ninth grade students are Ashley Austin, Jasmine Crawford. Hold your applause, please. We're going to clap for all of them. Hold your applause. Zachary Daniels, Caleb Dones, Lamirica Garman, Technicia Hicks, Arani Lane, Kari Mickens, Mekateria Oliver. You knew I was going to mess it up. D'Angela Robinson, Aaliyah Salas, Devontae Turner, Maketria Oliver. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our distinguished honor roll freshmen. Tenth grade. 10th grade. Eric Brooks, Josephine Castillo, Jason Daniels, Deja Campbell, Tony Hale, Norman Harris, Ariel Hilliard, Jasmine Hilliard, Kara Hunt, Ontarius Johnson, Doris Morrow, Robert Nisby, Brianna Phillips, Emily Robinson, Keith Thomas, Andre Vaughn, Jamal Venable, Yasmin Wilkins, all right now. Ladies and gentlemen, our sophomore class of distinguished honorees, 11th grade. Rodarius Anderson, Shanteria Collins, Jonquil Davis, Sicario Hankins, Zacharias Matthews, Kalia McKinney, Lorena Mendoza, Nicoya Morris, Jalen Netter Lofton, Brittany Payne, Charles Reese, Tananye Shaw, Marquita Shaw, Dennis Taylor, Damian Wilkins. Ladies and gentlemen, our juniors who have accomplished distinguished honor roll. Good job, guys. And now the class of 2013. All right, all right. This is not a pep rally. Shh. Quintavious, can y'all sit down, please? I'll start calling names. Here we go. I'll start. 12th grade. Michelle Bowser, Bethany Boyd, Raquel Brewer, Anthony Coleman, Shanice Coppage, Jessica Crawford, Vasa Dean, Malcolm Eason, Isaac Freeman, Jarvis Galloway, Darren Gibson, Jeremiah Graham, Nike Granberry, Darnisha Guy, Lamika Harris, Brandy Hayslett, Tevin Hicks, Justice Holt, Jasmine Hobson, Walinda Hyman, Derek Ivory, Maya Johnson, Cedric Jones, Jamal Kimbrough, Nicholas King, Brittany Nealon, Caradia Cone, Anthony Lacey, Natasha Mack, Angelique Macklin, Marquise McKinney, Chastity Mosby, Shalencia Mosley, Ryan Neal, Jimmy Wynn, Shaniquia Parham, Davidra Parker, Charles Payne, Devin Payne, Raven Pete, Thaddeus Person, Julian Phillips, Derek Poindexter, Ernest Power, Latricia Rucker, Taryn Sherrod, Kellen Slater, William Slater, Michael Small, Erica Taylor, Maya Thornton, Anthony Townsend, Javion Tunstall, Anthony Whedon, Alexandria Wilkes, Laterica Williams, Courtney Williams, Janika Williams, Ramona Williamson, ladies and gentlemen, those are our 12th grade Distinguished Honor Roll honorees. Now for our honor roll students. These students, excuse me, these students have earned a grade point average between 3.0 and 3.5 with no grade below a 75 and have received either an E or an S in conduct for the first semester. Our ninth graders. Lama Albani. Don't start there. She's in the ninth grade. Support her. Thank you. Krishan Bearden. Tamaria Brown. And Johnny Hester. Dontavius Holloway. Rayshawn Jackson. Mariah Jones. Elias Lorenzo. Kendrick Mackins. Courtney McLemore. Michael McNeil. Carla Magdatsuma. Kalia Morris. John Nakayama. Cornelius Nelson. Laranika Nanali. Ronnie Perry. Tylen Peterson. Deanna Reynolds. Whitney Ryan. Tyra Seaton. Jasmine Williamson. Donovan Wilson. Roxanne Wiseman. These are our 2016 honor roll students. Our 10th grader honor roll students. Teachers, can we move through the aisles for those students who would not like to be respectful as we honor our honorees? Thank you. We will be respectful. Our 10th graders. Cassandra Applewhite. Adirie Booker. She's right here. Christian Cox. Tyranny Dickerson. Jarrell Gray. Tashandra Hampton. Kaylin Harris. Alexis Manning. Derek Perrier. Michael Stovall. Jessica Torres. Patrick Warren. Isaiah Young. Ladies and gentlemen, our honor roll for the sophomore class. Oh, we still have. Good job, baby. 11th grade. Markel Atkins. Mario Bates. Catherine Brown. Christopher Kane. Or Cordelia Cristobal. Tevin Fields. Nakia Granberry. Osama Abraham. Tanisha Johnson. Julie Lee. Daniel Martin Franklin. China Miller. Travius Miller. Rakila Peterson. Renisha Pye. Onika Robinson. Eric Stevens. Ladies and gentlemen, our honor roll students for our junior class. And our honor roll for our seniors, Courtney Allen. Markesia Ayers. Marquita Boyd. Matthew Butler. Jessica Cole. Malachi Cole. Shanticia Collins. Brandon Davis. Trinika Davis. Marquetta Boyd. Malcolm Eason. Terrence Edwards. Kenya Freeman. Isaac Freeman. Kiara Freeman. Ruthie Gatewood. Martavius Gunter. Brittany Hall. Jaleesa Harris. Franklin Hart. Artavius Johnson. Victoria Kimbrough. Tamika Mason. Jameson Nance. Davicio Qualls. Stephanie Ray. Stanton Robinson. Valencia Robinson. Anza Spiller. Jalen Thompson. We would like all of our honorees to please stand. East High School, join me in congratulating our honorees for our first semester honor roll program. Good job, guys. Thank you. And we look forward to more of you all being honored in our second semester honors program. Thank you.
All right, let's settle down. All right, young people, let's settle down. Nelson Mandela said, "A good head and a good heart are a formidable combination. But if you add to that a literate tongue and script, you have something that's very unusual. And hopefully our honorees, we know they have good heads and they're very and literate tongues, but we hope they have good hearts. All right, let's settle down, folks. And I hope you continue to strive for excellence. Would the parents of the honorees please stand? Let's give them a hand. I want to thank you for sharing your most prized gifts with East High School. I'd like to thank the speaker. She was very good, made some very good points. And one of the most important points that she made is something that Barack Obama says. He says, you can't let your failures describe you. You have to let your failures teach you. And what she was saying to you is that everybody's going to fall down, but those who get up are going to be successful. And that's what you have to understand. We're all going to have adversity in our life, but we can't lie down. We have to stand up. And I want to challenge you young people in the audience who were not on the stage. Many of you could have been here, but you didn't apply yourself like you could. So that's a challenge to you, and hopefully we'll have more students up here. And I want to add that I was very impressed with the number of young men who were on the stage today. I was very impressed, because usually the young ladies outnumber us. But fellas, I want you to know this is a man's world. All right, ladies. But all right, young people, you've been very gracious until this point. Don't spoil it. What I was going to add to that is it wouldn't be anything without a woman or a girl. All right, at this time, all right, let's calm down, young people. All right, let's calm down, please. Teachers, let's move among the students. As I said before, you've been very gracious to this point. Don't spoil it. We have a lot of people to thank, and I'd like to thank the following people for this program. Ms. Mia King. Especially like to thank the parents for coming out. The counseling team coordinator, especially our guest speaker, Ms. Tiffany Wade Henderson. Excellent presentation. Okay. Ms. Jackson, Ms. Pritchard, Ms. Stewart, Moore, Ms. Carlock, Ms. King, Mary Hendricks for refreshments, and most importantly, you, our students. And we now have a special presentation for Ms. Tiffany Wade Henderson.
All right. We want to thank our speaker, Ms. Tiffany Wade Henderson, for taking time out of her schedule, because people don't do this very often, but she took time out of her schedule today to come speak to us and give us a very good word. So we want to just give another good applause for our speaker today and present her with the gift. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Definitely not necessary. Appreciate it.
At this time, we're getting ready to dismiss. We want all of the honorees to remain in the auditorium. Ms. King, when we dismiss, do we dismiss in sections or grade levels? Third period, just whoop. Everybody just. All right, we're going to start with the young people in the back. We're going to our third period class.